All right, you guys, we're back. I had to reboot my entire computer. So you guys are getting two streams today. I'm named this one part two. We're not going to give up. Obviously, we're over the target. Literally, YouTube kicked me off right when we were talking about Ukraine and showing you the iPad Go 2 and Obama being in jail and the Holodomor memorial and all that stuff. I think that's where we got kicked off. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Gosh, we had what, 800 people watching. The stream was starting to take off, and boom, this is how they control the truth. This is how they do it. We were just talking about it and how it works. So if you're tuning into this stream, this is part two. We literally came under electronic attack. I had to reboot my entire computer. So what was the last thing you guys heard? Obama endorsed. Oh, okay. So, excuse me. Obama endorsed Kamala Harris. That's what happened. I think those are my last words before things went haywire. And that was the lotus flower. Kamala means lotus, and that was the lotus flower in part one. And then I started talking about the Holodomor Memorial and the connections to that, and the Golden Calf Memorial, both in Kiev, with Obama standing over the coin, which is also the memorial in Kiev, two separate memorials. Then I showed when the camera panned out, it appeared as though Obama was incarcerated. Then I showed you the name Donald in the graffiti outside the window where Obama was incarcerated. So it's all starting to come together, isn't it? Now, let's get into these final stories as I promised you guys. And let's see here. Oh, okay. So, Final Destination. This MRI scene literally happened. It says, could the horrifying MRI scene in Final Destination really happen? This was back on May 17th. Remember, the movie came out on May 16th. And so they run this story. Could this happen? And it literally just happened a couple days ago. A simple MRI scan can save lives, detecting everything from injuries to cancer and strokes. But in the world of Final Destination Bloodlines, released May 16th, the machine is just another tool to take lives in the most complicated, gory way possible. The chaos begins with a wild scheme to cheat death at a hospital. Two brothers decide that one of them needs to die temporarily and be revived, thus tricking death into skipping over them. Their idea involves Bobby intentionally eating nuts, which both the character and actor are allergic to, causing anaphylaxis. But while the other character leaves the room, the MRI machine in the background begins to turn on, and through a series of unpredictable mishaps, the MRI's magnetic field increases in strength. The scene culminates in a horrific tableau. Eric is sandwiched into the fully powered MRI scanner by the wheelchair Bobby had been sitting in. The chair's metal tubes piercing the skull tattoo on his stomach in a pattern that sneakily references the Final Destination 5 poster. Now, can this really happen? Well, let's see what they say here. They literally say it can't happen, and then it literally happened in real life. Metal in and around an MRI scanner could be a big problem because of the strength of the magnetic field in the machine. Most MRI machines are 1.5 Teslas or 3 Teslas, meaning much stronger than the Earth's magnetic field. Higher MRI machines can produce higher quality images. To make the Final Destination scene a little more plausible, the team intentionally set the scene at a hospital that was also a research center. So it could have had an MRI machine that goes up to 7 Teslas. So they pretty much like try to debunk this, right? Well, look what happened. Wait, where'd the story go now? Oh, here it is. Man dies after weight training chain around neck pulls him into an MRI machine. And this literally happened on the 16th. And they're sure to make sure that you know that it happened on the 16th. which was exactly 61 days after the Final Destination movie. And the man was 61 years old. Here's the date calculator. May 16th to July 16th. 61 days. The man was 61 years old. Wow. Pretty unbelievable, isn't it? Now let's read about what happened to this man, or supposedly, because it makes you wonder, right? So, a man who wore a large weight training chain around his neck and approached his wife while a magnetic resonancing image machine scanned her knee at a clinic died after the device forcefully pulled him, according to police and media reports. Keith McAllister was killed at the Nassau Open MRI Clinic in Westbury, Long Island, after he accompanying his wife on July 16th. Adrian told the news outlet an MRI machine there was scanning her knee when she called out to her husband to come help me from the table. Technician operating the machine, which looks like a long, narrow tube with opening at each end, then allowed Keith to walk in while he wore a 20-pound metal chain that he was using for weight training. This is a story that doesn't sound real, okay? Like there's no point to this story, right? But what's behind this? The Final Destination scenario literally playing out exactly. That is crazy, you guys. That is crazy. Now, apparently there are killer red ant barges. That's the newest way to die on the river. You're floating down the river and you run into a literal floating barge of red ants. Death by 10,000 red ants. Texans shaken as thousands of fire ants seen forming rafts on the river using their bodies. It's almost as if nothing is safe anymore. This army is in formation. Thousands of fire ants have been spotted floating on floodwaters through Texas City and forming rafts using their bodies. Now reporting, with residents now reporting the gross behavior. Let's take a look here. This guy has it on film.
These are red ants that are floating on Lake Travis.
Holy smokes.
These things are rafted up all over the lake, in the middle of the lake, in the coves. They're up on the bank. They're displaced and have no place to go. These are right up on the bank, basically. These little pods are all over the place.
Could you imagine you're floating down the river and you stick your hand on one of these, not knowing what it is, and now you're attacked by red ants? Now, some people are allergic to red ants. This will put you in immediate anaphylactic shock. Wow. Spooky, right? Let me go back into the chat. See, now this is why I check in with you guys to see if we're still connected, because of what happened in part 1 today, how we just got kicked off of YouTube. Yes, the pestilence is here. Absolutely, 100%. Now, did you know that your solar system, your personal solar system at your house, could be a ticking time bomb? Don't you love it how they sabotage us? Oh, electricity, solar panels. Oh, just go get batteries. They're safe. And then the batteries overheat, explode, and burn down your house, or your car explodes and burns down your house. A literal ticking time bomb. Let's read this. Wisconsin dad issues warning after lithium battery destroys the family home. Protect your family, now he says. Burn down their entire home. Now, I'm sure this happens more often than the mainstream media is admitting to. Battery technology is not good. A lot of these batteries are in hot places like a garage. And as I read through this article, the first thing I did, because I do have some electric batteries, they were being stored in the garage. And apparently, you're not supposed to do that because they can overheat and catch on fire. So I brought mine inside. Also, another thing you need to do is once the batteries are charged, you should unplug them instead of just leaving them on the plug. They do have a safety mechanism that prevents them from overcharging, but if that safety mechanism breaks, literally it will turn into a lithium fire. This is what we're dealing with, you guys. Literally sabotaging. This is another way they can take people's property with this whole electricity green push that Biden was doing. So many people. And then Trump, to a certain degree, in the beginning of his presidency. Now he's pretended to turn on Elon Musk. But in the beginning, he's like, yeah, everybody go buy an electric car. Teslas are great. And a lot of people did. I'm sure if you looked at Tesla sales when they were being paraded at the White House, I'm sure you saw a small bump in the sales just before it all fell apart. I'm not going to belabor the point, but you know what I'm saying. And basically, they're putting firebombs, ticking firebombs in millions of households across the United States that could burn down entire neighborhoods. I can't even believe we're living in 2025 and this is happening in plain sight and nobody's saying anything about it. Well, people are saying something about it, but it's like, no big deal, move along. That'll never happen. And then it happens. So this guy's house got leveled. He says, I didn't think a battery that size would take my house down in 45 minutes. Wow. Why lithium ion batteries can be dangerous. Lithium ion batteries found in drones, smartphones, e-bikes, and power tools are lightweight, rechargeable, and power much of our modern life. But when damaged, overheated, or poorly manufactured, they can become a ticking time bomb. They literally used the same words I did. People in apartment buildings are worried that their neighbor's e-bike could burn down the entire building. And that's not a hypothetical concern. It's happening. A fire broke out on the 20th floor of a 37-story New York apartment building. It hurt 43 people. And for those living in floors above the fire, firefighters had to rappel down from the roof to save them through their windows. They've logged 227 fire-related incidents linked to lithium batteries and micro-mobility products alone, leading to 39 deaths and 181 injuries. And there's probably more. They can only report what they can, right? So there's probably more incidents that we're not even seeing reported, that they didn't find the battery or see it as the cause. Overcharging, unattended charging, low quality, uncertified batteries, improper storage, and hot garages. This is why the first thing I did is I went out in my garage and I moved my whole battery center inside. Or near flammable items, damaged, swollen, or counterfeit battery cells. Wow. No time to react. After an incident. Now, the thing about these batteries is they're hard to put out. So you can't just get a water hose and put out the fire. It's going to continue to burn for hours. And this is why this is so destructive. Now, you got to this begs the question. Was all this intentional? Did they do this on purpose? I really think they did. They can't stand people who don't want to be in their system. Think about all the off-gridders who got solar systems with battery packs, not realizing that it could burn their entire homestead down. Wow. I looked into solar at one point and I was serious about it. But then I realized these solar systems are super expensive, especially if you add batteries, which is the whole point of being off the grid is you would need batteries, right? Now, if you don't want to be off the grid, you can just have your solar system and it goes into the grid and you're energy sharing. So you get a break on your energy, on your electricity, because it's being shared in the grid with other people. So you pay a set fee. Usually it's between $150 and $200 a month. And that's your loan on your solar panels. But the more and more I looked into this, I realized that the problem with all of this is that these solar panels degrade over time. The company that installed the solar panels might not be around to honor the warranty. The warranty might not even cover the full life of the panels. So within 5 to 10 years, you're already starting to replace parts. Inverters go out, panels go out, and uh, the new people that install it can charge whatever they want. They can literally charge whatever they want. and I was looking into a well. You know how much wells cost now? If I wanted a well that digs only 200 feet here on the property, and we'll get into the Honey Milk Ranch too, because I promised you guys I would talk about that at the end of the show. A well to dig 200 feet, that's not a very deep well. Okay. That's about a minimum well, would cost between 15 to $16,000. It's just, there's no one can afford that. That's insane. That is literally insane. Now, to prove to you that that is a way inflated cost, you can go back 10 years ago and that same well would have cost you $8,000. So it literally doubled in cost. Now, the well people told me, oh, well, our pricing has gone up. Well, who's driving their pricing? Whatever it is, whatever casing or whatever it's used to make these wells, someone above them has inflated the price. Now, why do you think that happened? And see, this is where I get into trying to expose the right left paradigm, because we live in America. Our government, at least if you were to vote conservative, should want people to homestead. They should want people to be more off the grid and independent. But instead, everything that you do, that you try to do off grid, ends up costing more and more money. Water, for instance. Now, we're having a boom year here where I live. Almost 50 inches of rain this year so far. Lot of rain. There's nobody's hurting for rain. There's a huge lake and a dam. Nobody's hurting for water. Okay. And even when they say they're in a drought, they're really not. It's just less rain than they got last year, right? So what is the spirit behind this? Why would it cost that much money to drill a hole in the ground? Well, it's because they're trying to disincentivize people from doing that. It's so obvious, because otherwise they would make it cheap, wouldn't they? They don't want people doing that, because then you don't need them. You don't have to vote. You don't have to get manipulated by issues that have nothing to do with you. Correct? So, needless to say, I'm not going to get a well. I'm over it. I looked into it. I entertained the idea. Can't afford it. I mean, I could do an equity line. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to put my property at risk for something, because I did the math, and my water bill from the city water. I do have city water supply here. And even if I didn't have city water, it'd still be cheaper to have a water truck come in and just drop off some water in like a giant tank. Literally, that would only cost a few $1,000s versus 20 something thousand. That's insane, you guys. It's literally, and they should be ashamed of themselves for charging that much. Literally ashamed. So, and I do have other options. I have a small lake. I have like a little creek down there, and I've got some kind of a water trickling out of there. I got a spring. I don't know the nature of the spring or whatever. I haven't tested it, but if I had to, I could get water, right? So there's something afoot. And these are the issues that we need to be calling our people to account, our officials, stuff like this. Why is it they charging so much to dig a well in rural areas? That's insane. So let's get into this. What else do we have here? I don't even know how we got off on that tangent. Okay, so this is, yeah, this is funny. Now, this is the underside of my deck. I'm going to give you guys an update on everything going on with the ranch for those of you that are interested. I'm on the last couple days of my winemaking brew, and the yeast is still off gassing some CO2. I could see it bubbling out. It's going to be a good batch, so I can't wait until that's done. I've got tomatoes going off everywhere. The peppers are starting to come in pretty good too. I made some salsa yesterday, and I got serrano peppers and jalapenos, and they were delicious. Now I'm still waiting on my habaneros to flower. They got a lot of leaves, but no flowers yet. And I don't know how that works. I think someone told me that the hotter the pepper, later in the season that they grow. So still waiting on my habaneros. And my blackberry harvest is about over. I got a good 10 to 20 pounds of blackberries over the season, but these are thornless. So I think the season ended a little bit early. So I don't have any new flowers and I don't have much red berries left on the vines. So that's what's going on with that. Now, what are you looking at on your screen now? This is funny. My goodness. This is my friendly. This is the under the deck update. This is my friendly armadillo. There she is, or he is in the corner. And she comes in every night. Here you see 2:55 a.m. And she likes to play. She likes to play under my deck. Now, what do I mean, play? Well, literally, she's playing under there. She doesn't stay. She doesn't have a nest under here. She just comes here every night and she forages around. There's nothing under here for her to really eat, but she stops off and plays. Now, this area under here is open on two sides. So I think that she's using it as cover on her whatever journeys, whatever route she does at night. I think these things just walk around on like a route. But look at this piece. Keep your eyes fixed on this piece of metal here, because I want you to look at this here as I scroll through these images. Watch the piece of metal. So you see her. Let's zoom in on this. You can see this beautiful animal. And I know these things carry the plague, but unless you touch them, you're going to be fine. That's a large armadillo, isn't it? Look at God's pretty amazing. Like, why would he make a creature like this? Anyway, remember the piece of metal. Now watch this next frame. Boom. So she literally picked this up. Here she is back here again. She picked up this piece of metal and she moved it behind her. Pretty crazy, right? So I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. Now, the other thing she does is she knocks over the camera. So, so here we go. Let's see here. There she is again. She's just foraging around under there. It's hilarious. And then over goes the camera. I'll show you that one right here. I think this is it here. There it goes. Boom. Knocks the camera over. So anyway, that's the story. Now the rats are gone. Got rid of the rat. It was just one. I got mint coming in around the deck as well, but I don't think it's deterring anything. But there's the update on the Honey Milk Ranch. And for those of you that are interested, and sorry for the interruption on the live show. That was so weird. We were tracking right along. A bunch of people showed up and boom, gone. So, all right, I'm in the chat for a little bit, you guys. So, what do you guys have any armadillo stories? My armadillo would bathe in by earthquake broken well. She's smart removing obstacles, says Betty. Oh my gosh, let's zoom this up. They both live on dead. Oh, Jabba's telling jokes. Okay, that was the punchline. Have a bounty on armadillos around my place, rats as well. And I've got a resident fox. I forgot to mention that to you. It just cruises around. So until I get that, until I, until I build a proper chicken coop, all I'm going to do is get my chickens eaten by the fox because that's what foxes do. They eat chickens. I'm not going to shoot the fox. I will just allow the fox to exist, but that means I need a fortified chicken coop, right? And I can't let the chickens free range because the fox is literally running around during the day. So if the chickens are out free ranging, they'll get eaten by the fox. And a fence is not going to stop a fox because you can fence the chickens in. But yeah, I have a brown fox. It's a beautiful fox. It's brown and it's got like a black face. So all right. You guys have a great day too. Thanks, Appalachian Homegrown. Awesome. Armadillos remind me of hippo, says Sylvia. Too cute. Yeah, foxes are beautiful. Gov did saw Roadrunner on the freeway. Yeah, they're always on. They love roads, don't they? Roadrunner. Uh, yeah, foxes eat chickens. That's what they do. And believe it or not, raccoons eat chickens too, but they don't eat them. They just bite their heads off. I've heard so many stories of raccoons going in and just biting all the chickens' heads off. You guys, this is the forest. There's some crazy stuff that goes on out here. Lorraine Ray has 4 70-pound dogs. Oh yeah, I've got a bunny under the deck as well. She showed up. She comes out in the evenings and she eats clover, and then she takes cover under the deck. So she comes out and eats a bunch of clover. I just let them do their thing. No big deal. As long as they're not destroying my home or eating up my pipes, I don't really care. It's actually kind of entertaining. I don't know what I would do if I didn't get to see all this cool wildlife. I'd probably be pretty boring, right? There was nothing left of Marcy's chickens. She must have gotten attacked. Was it a fox? Get ducks instead of chickens. Huh. Chipmunks. Yeah, the chipmunks are entertaining too. Urban chipmunks are actually my favorite, but they're in like in another dimension. They run so fast, like they're not even in our timeline. And so, they're super cute though. Yeah, raccoons are a menace to society. Luckily, I only have one lone raccoon. It's not like a whole family of them. So, yeah, chickens are expensive. There's nothing worse than spending what, 30, $40 per chicken is what they cost now, and then having them all wiped out by a predator. I mean, that's hundreds of dollars in investment. A mink will destroy a chicken flock, says Pamela. Chickens are raptors with wings. I have cats. All right. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go. Thanks for showing up and sticking with it. I will see you guys likely tomorrow. I'll probably do another blacklist tomorrow, but I'll do it live. I'll play it live so that we can all hang out and talk about it and all that. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. Much love. Take care and be safe.